What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing 3 Regis that got buffs this season with Regigigas, Regigigas, and Regigigas all on the same team in the Open Great League. Now I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably the worst Pokemon I have ever built, and that is saying something. I love to run really bad Pokemon. I've built the likes of Shadow Ghastly, Shadow Kadabra, Shadow Rampardos, Pheromosa, Attack from Deoxys, XL Pokemon like Joltik, Sizzlipede, and Cubchoo that get nowhere near 1500 CP, and many other Pokemon just like that, and yet none of them have felt quite as bad as Regigigas did today. And bear in mind, this is a Pokemon that just got improved charge move pacing this season with Crush Grip, which I believe is a Blast Burn and Rock Wrecker clone, but with the normal typing, so this is a really good charge move, and yet this thing is still the worst Pokemon I have ever used. Now, it is worth pointing out, I'm running it with Hidden Power Dragon, which isn't exactly desirable. If you didn't know, Hidden Power can be any typing aside from the normal typing, or I believe the fairy typing as well for some reason, but it's a really bad fast move, and Dragon is only going to hit other Dragon types for super effective, so not really ideal. You probably would prefer something like maybe the Ghost typing, so you could actually do well into Ghost types, or maybe something like Ice or Grass that's going to hit for super effective damage up against common typings in the meta. But anyways, even with the best Hidden Power you could possibly have, this Pokemon would still be absolutely awful. But one thing to note with Hidden Power Dragon, you have a very impressive 0% win rate in both the 1 and 2 shield scenario versus the Great League meta. So as you can imagine, for the most part, I just use this Pokemon as a third shield, and that's where most of my wins came from. Now, quickly, before we get into the question of the day, I want to give a quick shout out to JR Drast and also DC Cool 800 My Gamer for their donations in yesterday's live stream. Now, DC must have donated literally as I ended the stream because I did not see it come up yesterday, so apologies for that, but either way, I do very much appreciate the support from both of you guys. And with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What is the single worst Pokemon you have ever built for the Go Battle League? Let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Regigigas into Shadow Sizzle. So of course, this is not a good matchup for me, but I cannot swap out of this matchup because Regigigas is just going to be fully farmed down probably before we even reach a Crush Grip. So we're going to stay in. We will at least reach a Dragon Energy, and this is such a good charge move that it will force a shield from the opponent. Otherwise, we would win the 0 shield scenario. Now we come in with Regigigas. Excuse the plane going over my head. I do live right next to an RAF base, so hopefully it's not too loud, but we shield up the Trailblaze. Even resisted bullet punches do huge damage, but they come in with the Dene. I'm full sending the Hyper Beam, and it gets the one shot. They do not respect the damage. Their final Pokemon is Jellicent, and this might be one of the only Pokemon where Regigigas, whilst we're still not going to win this matchup in the 1 shield scenario, can at least have some play. And here we're just going to fire off the Crush Grip immediately. Crush Grip is going to be double resisted. However, it grabs the final shield, and Regigigas, insane Glass Cannon, but we should just barely live one more Hex, reach a Thunder Cage, and Thunder Cage, of course, going to hit for super effective damage. It will be enough to take out the Jellicent, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up in there into next battle. We're going to see Shadow Jumpluff in the lead. So, we're going to stay in this matchup initially here, and then I will just swap into my Regigigas. And at this point, we are just using it as an extra shield. Acrobatics pretty much one-shots us there. They get 1 or 2 extra fairy wins to farm me down. But now we can come back in with the Regigigas here. We are going to see the opponent's not going to swap out here. I mean, this still is a positive matchup for the Shadow Jumpluff, but we go for the Dragon Energy, and we grab a shield from the opponent. And then from this range, Breaking Swipe wouldn't quite have got the KO there, but we can definitely now just settle for that Breaking Swipe, and Breaking Swipe will certainly take out the Jumpluff, but it grabs the final shield. We drop their attack. The opponent swaps out there, clearing the debuff, but they come in with a Feraligatr, so Thunder Cage gets the one shot there, and they come in with more Pekko, and it's going to be back-to-back matchups where we see an Electric Mouse, but unfortunately for them, we have a shield here, and we can just full send the Hyper Beam. We are going for it straight away, and we do get there. Of course, Hyper Beam, huge damage. It easily one-shots more Pekko. They're forced to throw the harder hitting move here. I don't think Aerial Ace would take us out. Acrobatics gets the KO there, but we Dragon Breath, farm them down with the Regigigas, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up in there into next battle. Going to see a Bastiodon in the lead. So, of course, this is awful for me. But not only that, they've probably got like a Mud Slapper or maybe a Charm User in the back. So, I'm really going to struggle, but we're going to stay in this matchup here, going to fire off the Dragon Energy, and that actually does respectable damage. It looks like the opponent does end up lagging there before throwing, or maybe just making sure I definitely do not make a catch. Kind of hard to tell there, but either way, we're now going to considerably overfarm, and we've put them into range where a second Dragon Energy will get the KO. So we actually grab a shield there. We then throw a Breaking Swipe on CMP. We win CMP. Unfortunately, this will not be enough damage to get the KO. However, it does put them into a single Volt Switch farm down range for the Regigigas. So we're going to come in. We're going to get that farm down there, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They come in with a Meganium on Magical Leaf. So I say swap into Regigigas, and they come in with a Dusclops. Now, honestly, this should be a good matchup for us. We are double resisting the fast move damage, but you can see 2 Ice Punches will get the KO. If we had Ghost Hidden Power, possibly we put them into range where we can shield and farm them down, but unfortunately, Dragon Hidden Power just doing nothing for me whatsoever. We're going to come in with the Regigigas, and my only win condition now is if the opponent tries to call a bait with their Meganium. So, committing to the farm down there, we are full sending the Hyper Beam, and Hyper Beam is unfortunately shielded this time around, and of course, they can fire off the charge leaf. It does not matter what they throw. Anything they throw will be taking us out. Frenzy Plant easily takes out Regigigas, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's up in there, into next back. You can see more Peko in the lead this time around. So we're just going to stay in here. The opponent is going to fire off a charge leaf. They don't farm up to a potential outrage. So of course, I can just let the Aura Wheel go through. That does quite a lot of damage there, but that's okay. We are now going to fire off a Breaking Smite from this range. This should get the KO. So probably going to force a shield from the opponent, and it does exactly that. Now they are going to reach a second Aura Wheel here, so I'm going to shield this up here, commit to that Dragon Breath farm down, and I'm going to come out with a Breaking Swipe loaded, but the opponent actually swaps into Skeledirge. So Breaking Swipe grabs a shield there. It does not drop their attack, unfortunately, but they commit to the farm down, which does allow me to reach another Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is going to drop their attack there, which is huge for me. This should allow Regigigas to live anything. Blast Burn does big damage, but they are forced to throw here, and that is very nice. Now we can come in with the Regigigas. I'm not even going to take a single Incinerator's worth of damage there as we get the farm down. Their final Pokemon is a Swampert. We have to watch out for the catch, but they swapped out there before we even reached the Hyper Beam, and now we can full send it. Hyper Beam gets the one shot up against the Swampert, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there, into next battle. We're going to see a Licky Tongue in the lead. So, we're going to stay in this matchup here, of course. The opponent is possibly going to be on Wrap as the charge move, but they're going to throw a Body Slam anyway, so I guess we're not going to find out. But Body Slam does decent damage there. I'm going to full send the Dragon Energy, and then I probably will swap into my Regigigas, just because we can, of course, tank these double-assisted lick damage here, and we also bait out a Diggersby, which is really important for our Regieleki, as, of course, Regieleki really going to struggle up against the Diggersby. They fire off the Scorching Sands. They do not drop my attack, so now we will finally get to see a Crush Grip, and it does huge damage there. But Diggersby, one of the bulkiest Pokemon in this meta, so they tank it pretty comfortably to the point where I cannot just commit to a Dragon Breath farm down with my Regidrago, but I do need to shield here because otherwise Regieleki definitely is not Volt Switch farming them down. So of course, Breaking Swipe gets the KO. Their final Pokemon is Azumarill, and unfortunately they do reach a last second charge move here, and that will be game over as I'm forced to no shield that. It's going to do less damage than an Ice Beam or a Play Rough, but they can now just commit to a full bubble farm down. I can fire off back-to-back Thunder Cages, double debuff in their defense, but it doesn't matter even if I quad debuff them. I'm not taking them out with Dragon Breath and Dragon Energy or Breaking Swipe. So at this point, we're just going to concede the match there, of course. Ice Beam takes out the Regidrago, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG top in there, into next battle. We're going to see a Fortress in the lead. So again, a very awkward matchup for me. We're just going to be forced to stay in this matchup here, at least initially. Going to go straight for Dragon Energy as we will just barely outpace them before the opponent does reach a potential Rock Tomb to debuff my attack. So at this point, I'm going to shield this up here, and then I might swap into my Regigigas. Basically just, actually no, never mind. We're not going to swap out straight away. Instead, we're going to overfarm and fire off a Breaking Swipe. I believe this might be a CMP tie here, and it is. We grab the shield, and this is just going to be a Sand Tomb, so we're able to tank it. We're now going to swap into Regigigas, looking to go for a full farm down here. The opponent does reach a last second Sand Tomb, but it's not a very good move here. We're able to tank it, and we are one away from a Crush Grip. The opponent comes in with a Shadow Drapion. Please, opponent, just let me land this. No, they shielded up, and now they can just Poison Sting farm me down. And Shadow Drapion, of course, very spammy. This is still going to be very awkward, but if I'm able to make a catch here, which I might be able to do, then we do have some play. I'm going to shield this up here. If the opponent baits me, I probably just lose, but they full send the crunch, and now we swap. We catch the next charge move. It does just depend what they've got in the back, though. Of course, crunch takes us out there. They could have fully undercharged it. It would still take us out. And I'll be honest, I could have overfarmed by one more Volt Switch, but Thunder Cage gets the KO, and their final Pokemon is going to be Jellicent, and that is perfect for me. As long as they don't get damage registration error here, one more Volt Switch takes them out before they can fire off the Surf, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on their next battle. We're going to see Jellicent in the lead this time around. So, we're going to stay in this matchup here, and then I'm just going to try and catch a Shadow Ball onto my Regigigas. We recognize that Regigigas just isn't really going to do much anyway, so we might as well catch the Charge Reef there. The opponent's going to swap into Credilli, so once again, kind of good to bait this out. Of course, Regieleki is completely walled by the Grass and Rock typing there, so we are going to wait out our switch clock, come back in with a Regidrago, and I'm hoping Dragon Energy will get the KO. It will be very close here, so let's see. Dragon Energy does not take them out, and I cannot Dragon Breath farm them down as well. They outpace me just barely to the Rock Tomb as well, so that is really unfortunate. Forced to use a shield there, and they come in with their Dene, so this is not looking good for me whatsoever. I'm going to wait for the opponent to throw a Charge Reef here. The opponent is going to go for a Play Rough. The opponent is then going to try and swap and catch the Charge Reef onto Jellicent. Now, honestly, we've seen this already. Thunder Cage does decent damage. I did not expect that to get the KO there, so I was hoping that will put him into range where one Volt Switch farms them down, but unfortunately we don't get any extra energy, and as a result, I do not reach another Charge Reef here. Play Rough gets the KO, but I have debuffed their defense, so maybe, just maybe, we've got a chance here. Dragon Energy does decent damage, but we cannot commit to that full Dragon Breath farm down, and from this range, of course, Play Rough takes out the Regidrago, and agonizingly close that was, we do still end up losing. But GG's to up on their next battle. See a Galarian Weezing in the lead. We're going to say swap into Regigigas, and my only play here is just a no shield. Hope they go for a foul play, but nope, they full send the superpower straight away. They do debuff themselves though, so that is good news for me. We can come in with the Regidrago. Of course, Regidrago has 0 coverage for Dragon type Pokemon, so I can commit to a farm down here, but it doesn't really help me that much because this energy is completely wasted up against the Galarian Weezing. However, I'm going to fire off the Breaking Swipe anyways, fishing for a debuff. They actually shield that up though. They do not get debuffed, but that is actually quite nice to grab a shield there. And as well, they come in with Lantern. Lantern only has resisted fast speed pressure, and that defense drop is going to put them into range where Regieleki can just commit to a full Volt Switch farm down. I shield up the Surf there. I'm now going to come out with back-to-back charge moves, and suddenly things are looking really positive for me. We can fire off the Thunder Cage here. Thunder Cage is going to be no shield as the opponent recognizing it is going to debuff their defense there, but this game is now over. They full send an Overheat for some reason. Also, I don't really know why I didn't throw a charge move there. It doesn't really make sense, but we actually commit to a double resisted Dragon Breath farm down there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on their next battle, a much better lead matchup for me, and the opponent's going to say swap into Mana Buzz. We come in with the Regieleki instantly, and at this point, I'm going to no-shield the first charge move here, and Dark Pulse nearly one-shots us. That is just how glassy Regieleki is, but we farm up 2 back-to-back Thunder Cages. Worst case scenario, they double shield, and they do flip switch advantage. However, we do have Dragon Hidden Power Regigigas, so that is probably one of the better matchups for the Regigigas up against the Dragalge there, but nope, the opponent does just let the Mana Buzz go down. We're going to come in with a Regigigas here just because our Regidrago going to be very good up against that Dragalge. Going to tank the Charge. I'm now going to swap out there. I thought the opponent might actually try and swap out instantly there to snipe with their Dragalge, but nope, doesn't really matter. At this point, I'm going to shield a Power Whip. I don't want to get too low to the point where they can actually asset farm me down, but either way, we are full sending Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy does decent damage there. There's no point throwing straight away. This is just going to be another Power Whip, so I can't afford to no-shield this. Now the opponent is going to swap back into Dragalge. We can go straight for Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe grabs the final shield there from the opponent. The opponent will reach an Aqua Tail, and yes, this is resisted damage, but at this point, I'm kind of forced to shield this. I'm now going to fire off the Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe from this range, going to hit for super effective damage. It will get the KO, and now I can commit to a full Dragon Breath farm down, so the opponent just concedes the match. So, GG's up on their next battle. We're going to see Regidrago into Primeape. So, this is a neutral matchup here. If they farm up to a potential Ice Punch or a close combat, then I will, of course, respect the damage. They're probably going to bait me, and they do bait with that Rage Fist, but that's okay. I can fire off the Breaking Swipe, hopefully debuffing their attack once again. And Breaking Swipe does not get that debuff there. But at this point, this is just going to be another Rage Fist, so I do let that go through. Unfortunately, they will be able to fully farm me down here, so I'm going to go for another Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe does get the debuff this time around, but unfortunately, they still get that farm down. And once again, Regigigas, just a third shield, close combat, full-on gets the one-shot there. But we can come in with the Regieleki. Oh, they've got Galarian Stunfisk in the back. There's just no chance for us whatsoever, and so I'm going to concede the match. But anyways, GG's to that trainer. Into next battle, we see Clodsire, and once again, the opponent safe swapping into Mandibuzz, but this time it's an Air/Mandibuzz, and we end up throwing on CMP. I realize this is not enough energy for a Dark Pulse, so I'm actually going to no-shield this. It's just an Aerial's bait there for some reason, so I undercharge that, and I get the full farm down. Now they come back in with the Clodsire, and I'm full sending the Hyper Beam. Of course, Hyper Beam is neutral damage. It does big damage to the Clodsire. I then swap back into Regidrago here, and the opponent's going to have a Feraligatr in the back. So this is a pretty decent matchup for me. Of course, we can go for the Breaking Swipe. We do not get the debuff on the first time of asking, but that's okay. I'm going to shield this. They bait with a Hydro Cannon there. That's also fine with me. I'm now going to overfarm, fire off the second Breaking Swipe just as they are reaching the next charge move, and we do not get a debuff this time either. However, I'm going to save my shield for the Regigigas. Hopefully, Regigigas can do something in this end game. The opponent comes back in with their Clodsire. I'm going to no shield, and they actually full sent the Earthquake there, but we're still going to reach a Crush Grip, but no, we don't even get there in time. So at this point, we're just going to let it go down. We can come back in with the Regidrago, and we try to make Regigigas happen in this battle, but unfortunately, it just wasn't happening for us. So we fire off the Breaking Swipe. It gets the KO up against Feraligatr, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top on there. Into next battle, we're going to see a Lapras in the lead. So, this is a bit of an awkward matchup for me, but I'm going to stay in here. I'm going to go ahead and fire off the Dragon Energy straight away, and the opponent is going to no-shield. It does huge damage, and at this point, I just safely shield whatever they throw. Even if they bait with a Sparkling Aria, they're not going to reach an Ice Beam, and they actually don't throw another charge move at all. They're now going to come in with Feraligatr. So, last time we full sent the Dragon Energy. This time I'm baiting with the Breaking Swipe, but they actually no-shield again. So at this point, I'm going to no-shield here as well, and the opponent does full send the Ice Beam. We come in with Regieleki. I realized at that point they had double water. Probably not going to be triple weak to the Regieleki, so a bit awkward. I couldn't really swap into Regieleki, but now, unfortunately, we're just going to take so much damage here, and whilst I am dropping their defense, they're boosting up their attack. We swap into Regigigas, but it just doesn't really help me there as the opponent already at another Torch Song. Torch Song easily gets the KO there, and whilst I get damage registration error here, it doesn't matter as Volt Switch does not get the KO. We get the Thunder Cage off, but they just shield that up there, and one Incinerate takes out the Regieleki, and unfortunately I do lose that game. But GG's top on there. Into next battle, we see another Shadow Sizzle, and this time they're going to fire off the charge move just before we reach the Dragon Energy, but they go for a Trailblaze there, which of course boosting up their attack. However, it does of course mean it's resisted damage. I'm actually going to swap into my Regieleki. I'm just hoping they don't have a ground type in the back. We're going to shield this up here, and because they did go for Trailblaze, and again they go for Trailblaze, I can commit to the farm down, but double boosted. They were dealing big damage there. They then come in with a Como-O, so I'm going to go straight for the Hyper Beam. And unfortunately, it is shielded by the opponent. But finally, a Dragon-type Pokemon for our Regigigas. Let's see how much damage we're dealing with the fast moves. And you can see, we're not actually dealing as much damage as they're dealing with their Dragon Tails. And they do bait with a Dragon Claw. I'm going to swap, catch the next move onto my Regidrago. I could, of course, thrown the Crush Grip on CMP, winning CMP. But my win condition is farming them down. But we don't even get the farm down there. It's a simultaneous KO. That is super embarrassing for the Regigigas. And we go down there. I think if we got the farm down, I honestly have no clue what they had in the back, but maybe there was a slither of hope that we could have just one-shot something with Crush Grip, but unfortunately that is not the case. So GG's to our trainer. Into next battle, see a Golbat in the lead, so gonna no-shield the Poison Fang, fire off the Breaking Swipe, they no-shield that, and we get the perfect Dragon Breath farm down there. They don't come in with a Quagsire, so I'm gonna go ahead and fire off another Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe grabs the shield from the opponent. We drop their attack there. At this point, I'm actually going to shield this just because I'm hoping the opponents have seen we've just gone for Breaking Swipe back to back. Maybe they will no-shield this, but nope, they double-shield their Quagsire. And now we're going to come in with the Regigigas. I have debuffed their attack, so I can no-shield this. Aqua Tail does decent damage still. They're going to swap into Crocodile, and we are actually able to reach a Crush Grip, and all shields are down. So it gets the one-shot. Finally, Regigigas did something. but they're now going to fully farm me down here, so I don't know if that is really good for me, but we're going to come in with the Regigigas, of course. I'm going to shield this up. I think they've got back-to-back Aquatails, so I swap out straight away. They do not throw there, and now they've got the charge loaded. Is this an Aquatail? It is the Aquatail, which we're able to tank, and the Volt Switch damage actually gets the KO there, and so I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there into the next battle, and we've got a couple of bonus battles where I was running Regigigas with Lock-On as the fast move. I did want to run it with Thunder Shock, but just because I felt like it was the perfect balance between fast move pressure and energy generation, and actually sort of like dealing some decent damage there. Whereas Volt Switch is a little bit clunky, and then Lock-On, you just have no fast move pressure whatsoever. But unfortunately, I used 2 TMs. I got Lock-On, and then I went straight back to Volt Switch. So yeah, we used Lock-On for a couple of battles. You're going to see it in action here. These Thunder Cages come incredibly fast, but debuffing their defense really just doesn't matter with Lock-On because it only hits for 1 damage anyways. So we're still just hitting for 1 damage there. So it doesn't really help me out there, but we can fire off a second Thunder Cage. Thunder Cage number 2 is going to get the KO there, and they've got Obstagoon in the back. So I think I've only got one possible win condition here, and that's if I go straight for Dragon Energy and the opponent no shields. Dragon Energy is not respected. It does huge damage, and even though they're going to hit for super effective damage with the counters, Regigigas might be able to go for a full Hidden Power Dragon farm down, and we get that farm down to take out the Obstagoon, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up in there into the next battle, and the final battle of this video leading into Azumarill. So of course we've got no coverage whatsoever. We swap into Regigigas, and as long as they don't go for a Hydro Pump here, I should tank anything, but they go for the Hydro Pump. So okay, that was great. That was great stuff from Regigigas there. But we're going to come in with the Regigigas, and unfortunately we have no fast move pressure because they've got Haunter, and I'm on Lock-On, so they are double resisting the 1 damage fast move. This is so painful. If I had even Thunder Shot would do quite a lot of damage in this situation here, but we're going to go for the Thunder Cage. We lose CMP. Also Haunter, one of the only Pokemon where Regigigas is losing CMP, but we've now debuffed them twice. We can go for Breaking Swipe. It gets the KO there. Of course, they're going to come back in with the Azumarill. I'm just going to go for another Breaking Swipe here. Breaking Swipe is going to debuff their attack, and that might actually allow me to live a Play Rough. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or not, but of course, the opponent fires off a Play Rough, and we do tank it. I can now fire off a Dragon Energy, going to deal slightly more damage. Maybe I should just be going for another Breaking Swipe there to debuff their attack, but I'm going to shield this up here as the opponent goes for another Play Rough, and we are now going to overfarm, not by too much. Even these debuff bubbles are kind of chunking. Thunder Cage gets the KO, and they've got Jellicent in the back. We do not reach a Thunder Cage, but we already knew it wouldn't do enough damage to get the KO there anyways, and unfortunately I do lose that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shout outs at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.